People spend their lives keeping themselves and their loved ones safe. Yet we often go out of our way to make ourselves scared or allow ourselves to be frightened. We read the latest spine-chilling books. We seek out and enjoy haunted rides at theme parks or tell ghost stories by the fire. But why? For the most part, this is the sort of fear we can't be in control of. We know that what we are reading isn't real, unlike many things in our world that frighten us. This is a fear we have a choice over. Either way, we are in no real danger. Some are not always that lucky. There are some terrifying ghost hauntings that actually happened. The Borden House. On August 4th, 1892, a scandal shocked the town of Fall Rivers, Massachusetts. Husband and wife, Andrew and Abby Borden, were found dead in their home. An axe was used as a murder weapon. Andrew was found with his face split in two, and Abby's head was almost completely disfigured. The main suspect was Lizzie Borden, their 32-year-old daughter. Lizzie was single and lived with her wealthy father and her stepmother. She hated her stepmother and often argued with her father over money issues. Lizzie and the maid were the only two people at the house then, and Lizzie was arrested for double homicide. She pled not guilty and was later acquitted due to a lack of solid evidence. The all-male jury was convinced that she could not have committed such a gruesome crime. Lizzie could not escape the suspicion. However, after inheriting most of her father's money, she moved from Falls River. The old Borden house is now a bed and breakfast, but people say it is haunted by the spirits of the murdered couple. Workers and guests claim that they can hear playing and laughing in the middle of the night. Items will go missing and end up in a different house section. There would also be toys scattered across the floor of a room that no one entered. One worker recalls a picture falling from the wall and sliding over 2 feet across the floor. On the anniversary of the famous murder, 2 tour guides felt intense pain in their eyes in the exact same location where Andrew's face was split in two. One bizarre incident happened when a tour guide asked visitors to put their phones on silent. One cell phone rang at that moment, and a young lady said it was her mother calling. And apparently, her mother has been dead for over 2 years. The Ashland Ghost. Stone's Public House in Ashland, Massachusetts, has been named one of the most haunted eateries in the country. But it doesn't have a ghost problem. It has issues with multiple ghosts. Janet Morozini has lived in Ashland her entire life. Currently, she works as a bartender and manager at the inn, which was built in 1832 by John Stone. She's heard stories of a tiny child who died of influenza and now walked the corridors of Stone's Public House even before she started working there. Back in 1918, the building was used to accommodate those sick with the Spanish flu. Many poor souls has died inside the building. It was not until later that it was converted into a restaurant. Unfortunately, the inn has also been the location of other deadly tragedies, such as Mary, a little girl whose mother worked at Stone's. According to legend, she was tragically hit and killed by a train while playing along the railroad lines surrounding the property. Another unfortunate incident took place while attending a private function at the restaurant. A father and his kid strolled outside to watch the trains pass by. When they returned inside, Janet overheard the father assuring his kid that there would be no one else outside, despite the son saying that he saw a small girl sitting next to them. His son said the following words: "She's right here, next to me. She was crying. Didn't you see a young girl?" And the father added, "There's nobody there. This is you and me, buddy." Other spirits are reported to haunt the Stone's Public House, including Mr. John Stone himself. He, according to Morozini, did not die there, but he is thought to be watching over the restaurant. Morzini was shutting the inn by herself one night when she heard footsteps on the second story directly above her. Lights would turn on and off on their own. Doors would open and close on their own, and mysterious handprints would appear on glass. The Kasha House. For decades, the Kasha House of Kaimuki in Honolulu, Hawaii, has been cloaked in mystery. Its first paranormal story mention appears in the Honolulu Star just a few months after the bombing of Pearl Harbor in 1941. According to the Post, officers responded to a complaint from a woman who was screaming about someone trying to murder her child. When they arrived, they discovered a small Hawaiian boy, his 3 sisters, and his mother shrieking and being thrown around by nothing. Approximately 30 years later, other tenants described similar attacks by an invisible force, which police officers confirmed. There is another incident of a girl being attacked in the house by a force she could not see. She ran outside to the car when she felt a hand wrapped tightly around her arm. The spirit followed her inside the car and started strangling her. A policeman noticed she was struggling and tried to help her. That was when big, strong, invisible hands started battling with him. The girl managed to run into the police car to escape. As she and the police officer drove away, her door flew open and the girl fell out. In the middle of the street, the large invisible hands continued choking the girl. Unfortunately, the fate of the girl remains unknown. The 2 most popular explanations for these recorded attacks is a demonic shape-shifting creature of Japanese folklore known as the Kasha, and the vengeful spirit of a corpse buried in the backyard. Over the years, many families had lived in the Kasha house, and they never stayed long. They all left due to disturbing paranormal activities. Though the house has since been demolished and rebuilt by condos, neighbors and residents claim that the dark spirits are still around. The Lemb Mansion. The tragic history of the Lemb Mansion in St. Louis has made it one of the most haunted places in America. The mansion had 33 rooms and was erected in the 1860s by William Lemb, a prominent brewery owner. He committed suicide in 1904 after the death of his youngest son, Frederick. His wife died of cancer in the house a few years later. Then, in 1922, William Lemb Jr. shot himself in the same room where William Sr. had committed suicide. But it doesn't stop there. In 1949, Charles Lemb, William's 3rd son, shot his dog in the home's basement and then killed himself in the same room. That same year, the house was sold and transformed into a boarding house, where reports of hauntings began. Witnesses have experienced burning sensations and slamming doors. Residents also reported hearing unexplained knocks and footsteps throughout the house. As word spread, getting tenants for their boarding home became difficult, which continued to deteriorate to the point of being unlivable. The historic home was saved in 1975. The new owners immediately began renovating the structure, converting it into a restaurant and inn. Workers at the house frequently told accounts of apparitions, unusual sounds, missing tools, and the sense of being watched. Fearful of the hauntings, many workers would flee the construction site, never to return. Today, the Lemb Restaurant and Inn also holds events. On Sunday nights, the inn hosts a murder mystery dinner. How fitting. The Chop Chop House. The mansion at 805 West Linden Street in Boise, Idaho, is difficult to overlook. The 2-story, 2,728 square feet home appears like an abandoned horror movie set, with windows shattered and boarded up and rubbish scattered across the yard. The real story, on the other hand, is far more terrifying. Locals call it the Boise Murder House, or even more bizarrely, the Chop Chop House. a horrible killing that occurred there more than 3 decades ago. One night, 3 men allegedly got into a fight. Preston Murr, one of the men, was wounded in the shoulder as a result. He tried to flee from the other 2 men. Murr dashed into a neighbor's house and knocked. Although the neighbor did not come out, he did phone the police. Unfortunately, the cops didn't arrive until it was far too late. Murr had escaped when the 2 men dragged him back and fatally shot him. The body was then dismembered in an act of extreme savagery in order to dispose of it. A week later, the body was discovered in the reservoir. The killers, however, were quickly captured and charged with murder. To this day, it's unclear why the 3 men got into a fight. Many people who lived in the neighborhood or rented out a room in the house claims that the basement, in particular, emanates ghostly energy. There have been accounts of shadowy people appearing and disappearing from nowhere, odd liquid pouring down the walls, and other strange occurrences. Many real-life ghost hauntings result from a tragic death. When a life is taken too soon or in a gruesome manner, a void is created. Some say that unnatural death establishes a portal for ghosts to enter the world of the living. As long as we continue to murder one another, spirits will continue to seek revenge on the living. The fact is, the spirit world and the world of the living are not meant to mix, but when they do, it is often those who are living that ends up with nightmares. Thanks for watching our late night top 5 channel. We're a new channel and would love to have your support by subscribing, liking, or simply dropping a comment down below. To watch more interesting late night videos, click the links to continue watching more.